As Lord Kagemitsu Daigo waits for his wife, Ninokata, to give birth, he recalls the time he made a pact with the 12 demons in the Hall of Hell, prepared to tread the path of evil in exchange for power. When his first son is born, the demons extract their payment. The child is born without limbs, facial features, or skin. The baby is set adrift in the river and left to its fate. 16 years later, he is now a young man, traveling alone, wearing a prosthesis made by Dr. Junkai. While hunting a sledge-like demon Daiki, he encounters Dororo, a young petty thief being beaten up by 3 men who Dororo cheated out of their goods. The demon attacks and devours the men, but the youth destroys it with blades inside his prosthetic arms. Following the death of the demon, the youth's missing skin reappears, and a demon statue in the Hall of Hell is split by lightning. Meanwhile, back in Ishikawa, Kagemitsu Daigo's second son, Tahomaru, returns home from hunting. However, Ninokata still misses her first son. Dororo accompanies the young man, who seems to be unable to see, hear, or talk. However, he has excellent sword skills, superhuman strength, and the ability to detect friendly or unfriendly beings by the color of their souls. Dororo takes the young man to a village run by a beautiful woman named Bandai, and offers to slay a local monster that rings a pilgrim bell for a fee. While there, they meet the blind monk known as Biwahoshi, who can also detect people's souls. They discover Bandai is actually a demon who has been eating travelers, and the young man slays her. The monster reappears, ringing its bell, and a villager explains it is the spirit of the first being the villagers killed. The young man reveals his name, Hyakumuru, to Dororo and the monk. As Bandai's statue in the Hall of Hell gets struck by lightning, Hyakumuru regains his central nervous system, thus regaining the ability to feel pain. Meanwhile, Kagemitsu Daigo is told the Sakai clan appears to be preparing for war. The story is told of Jukai Sensei, a doctor who not only healed the sick, but made prostheses for those who had lost limbs in accidents or war. He once worked for Lord Shiba, crucifying wounded enemies until the day his loved one was killed by Shiba's soldiers, and he leaped into the sea. He was rescued by foreigners and learned how to make prostheses. One day, he found Lord Kagemitsu Daigo's abandoned and deformed infant on a riverbank. He took the child home and made special prostheses for him so he could move about and appear normal. 6 years later, Jukai gave him the name Hyakumuru. After Hyakumuru killed a lizard demon and his right leg was magically returned to him, Jukai realized that although the boy attracted demons, his body parts had probably been stolen by demons. Jukai inserted swords into Hyakumuru's prosthetic arms before the young man left to travel the land alone. Back in the present, Hyakumuru awakens from his sleep and tests his newly acquired ability to feel pain from killing the demon Bandai. Dororo chats with the girl Osushi, while Hyakumuru stands outside, experiencing the feeling of rain for the first time. Suddenly, Hyakumuru detects a demon sword and rushes off. He encounters a man wielding the sword and only manages to defeat him by trapping the sword in his prosthetic leg. Dororo goes to retrieve the leg, but is pulled back to its owner when he touches the sword, Osushi's brother, Donosuke. Osushi takes her brother home, but he is only interested in regaining the sword. Donosuke recalls how he was given the demon sword Nihiru and how it changed his life and in its eternal thirst for blood. Meanwhile, Hyakumuru disarms Dororo, but Donosuke seizes the sword again and attacks Hyakumuru. This time, Hyakumuru kills Donosuke and breaks Nihiru, which returns Hyakumuru's ears to him. Hyakumuru is having difficulty adjusting to his new hearing when he is attacked by a huge bird-like monster and is only saved by the appearance of the Biwahoshi. The priest tells them that they are in Sakai territory, which is preparing to march on the Daigo army. The next morning, Hyakumaru encounters Mio, a young woman singing a beautiful song, but he collapses from his wounds. The travelers stay with Mio and a group of orphan children at an abandoned temple, while Mio works at night serving the Sakai troops as a prostitute. Meanwhile, the Biwa Hoshi finds a better place for them. However, it is inhabited by a demon. Despite his wounds still healing, Hyakumaru goes to fight it. The Biwa Hoshi is concerned. Hyakumaru's white aura is starting to show hints of demon red. They encounter the ant-lion larva-like demon, Arijigoku, which bites off the lower half of Hyakumaru's real leg, leaving him screaming in agony. That night, Mio leaves to service Daigo men in an attempt to make more money, and Dororo discovers the type of work she does. The Biwa Hoshi heads back to Mio's camp with Hyakumaru. His leg is half gone, but his voice has returned. Meanwhile, Dororo questions the other children about the type of work Mio does, but they are unaware. Hyakumaru slowly adjusts to using his hearing and his voice with the help of Mio. They become drawn to each other, and the red in his soul fades. Although only partially recovered, Hyakumaru returns to kill the Arijigoku demon, this time with some swords the children recovered from the battlefield. He succeeds in killing the demon and his leg heals. However, when he and Dororo return to the temple, they find Mio mortally wounded and Daigo troops murdering the orphans because they believe Mio is a Sakai spy. Enraged by the attack on Mio, Hyakumaru goes berserk, slaughtering all the Daigo troops until Dororo intervenes, fearing Hyakumaru may become a demon himself. Later, Dororo finds some precious seed rice in Mio's hand, taken from the samurai she so despised to start her farm. After burying the dead, Hyakumaru and Dororo continue their travels. Hyakumaru and Dororo come across the female spider-like demon, Onarugomo, who has captured a man. Hyakumaru attacks the demon and wounds her, but she escapes. The travelers enter a nearby village, which has a problem with men disappearing at night. The next day, the kindly Yajiro heads out on a trail and finds the ailing demon, who appears in the form of a beautiful woman. He takes her home, and after feeding her some ohaji, gives her the name Ohaji and leaves for work at the Lord's quarry. Although she is hungry, Ohaji resists eating Yajiro because of his kind nature. Yajiro offers to guide the ailing Ohaji out of the village, and it is revealed local men have not been captured or killed, but that Yajiro has been helping them flee from the oppressive local lord. Yajiro and Ohaji encounter Hyakumaru, who attacks Ohaji, but she escapes with Yajiro. Yajiro takes Ohaji to a secret passage in the mountain. However, they are attacked by the Lord's troops and Yajiro is wounded. Enraged, Ohaji attacks and defeats the troops, but this attracts Hyakumaru to her. As Hyakumaru and Ohaji prepare to fight to the death, she worries about Yajiro and the red demon color of her soul fades. So Hyakumaru withdraws and lets her leave with Yajiro. A dark cloud containing the demon Nokosaregumu appears over a village, and the villagers hurriedly prepare a woman as a sacrificial bride to appease it. As Hyakumaru and Dororo see the bridal parade traveling up the mountain, Saru, a wild boy, tries to stop the sacrifice. After Soru tells them the story of Nokosaregumu and that he considers the sacrifice his sister, Dororo and Hyakumaru agree to exterminate the demon. A dark cloud envelopes them, and Nokosaregumu appears as a large centipede. However, Hyakumaru is unable to differentiate the demon from the cloud, as they both show red in his vision, and it swallows the woman. Dororo and Saru devise a plan to create an explosion using the sulfurous gases emitted by the mountain, which sets the demon ablaze but has little effect. Dororo then jumps on Nokosaregumu's head and calls to Hyakumaru, enabling him to locate and attack the centipede by sound, destroying it. The dark cloud dissipates, and Hyakumuru, Dororo, and the woman, who is still alive from being swallowed whole, fall into spring. Saru is relieved to find his sister and agrees to move into the village with her. Hyakumuru regains his sense of smell and, for the first time, addresses Dororo by name. Dororo falls ill with fever, and Hyakumuru takes him to a temple for treatment. Delirious, Dororo sees some blood red spider lily flowers, and it triggers memories of the past with his mother, Ojiya, and his father, Hibukuro. Hibukuro was the principal leader of a group of bandits composed of former farmers which regularly raided samurai as retribution for their loss and suffering. One day, Itachi, his second in command, suggested they raid a battle-weary group of Yananimoto, but it was a trap set by Itachi, who had decided it would be more profitable to work for a samurai lord. He took Hibukuro's surviving men and crippled Hibukuro's legs. The family was left to raid bodies on the battlefield for supplies, whereas Hibukuro said the color of red spider lilies may come from those who died in battle. One day, they encounter a group of samurai burning down a village. Hibukuro is recognized and ultimately killed after a fierce fight. Dororo and Ojiya survive by foraging for food, but Ojiya eventually dies of starvation in a field of red spider lilies. Back in the present, Dororo recovers, but the priestess reveals to Hyakumuru Dororo is actually female, calling Dororo young girl after removing her clothes to wash them. Meanwhile, Kagemitsu Daigo is told Hyakumuru may be alive as a survivor of the attack on Mio's camp. Bakemonogani, a crab-like monster, devours a man after destroying his boat. Meanwhile, the drought in the Daigo lands worsens and Lord Kagemitsu is advised of the Asakura clan, gathering on their border. He visits the temple and finds more demon statues destroyed, and the demons inform him Hyakumuru is still alive and slowly retrieving the stolen pieces of his body. Kagemitsu's son, Tahomaru, discovers his father is searching for a baby. Later, Tahomaru and his two bodyguards, Mitsu and Hyogo, encounter a village where they speak of a monster in the lake which eats fishermen. He leads a group of villagers in their boats onto the lake and attacks and damages the monster. But it is too fierce, and they are forced to retreat. Tahomaru then has the villagers construct a trap, intending to lure the monster into a shallow channel where the water can be drained out. The plan works, and Tahomaru, Mutsu, and Hyogo attack it together. However, the monster fights back and almost devours Hyogo, but at the last minute, Hyakumuru arrives and slays it. Tahomaru is left wondering who the stranger is. Tahomaru learns Hyakumuru's name as the two travelers arrive in the Daigo capital. There, they see a play depicting Kagemitsu Daigo as a great slayer of demons protected by the goddess of mercy. The Biwa Hoshi seeks the truth at the Hall of Hell, while Hyakumuru and Dororo visit the remnants of Fort Baman. It was built by Daigo on the site of a village he destroyed and is supposedly cursed by a demon. They find remnants of a timber wall where the Asakura pin bodies of their enemies with arrows. They encounter a young boy, Skeroku, who wishes to cross to the Asakura side and rejoin his family. Meanwhile, Tahomaru bodyguards report the incident with Hyakumuru to Kagemitsu Daigo, who realizes his son is alive and decides to kill him and maintain the prosperity of his domain, ignoring his wife's pleas. Tahomaru overhears their exchange and later comes across a demented woman who was present at Hyakumuru's birth. She tells him how the demons ate everything, but left the boy alive. Night falls at Banman, and a Kyubi no Kitsune, nine-tailed fox demon, appears. While it attacks Hyakumuru, Skeroku uses the distraction to pass the wall with Dororo in pursuit. However, they are captured by Asakuro sentries. The demon is eventually chased off by the arrows of a squadron led by Kagemitsu Daigo himself, who then approaches Hyakimuru. Hyakimuru does not recognize his father and is confused when he sees demonic red in Kagemitsu Daigo's soul. Kagemitsu orders his archers to fire at Hyakimuru, who flees. Meanwhile, Dororo and Skiroku are held in an Asakura prison with other Daigo prisoners, but Dororo manages to escape. In the Kagemitsu compound, Tahomaru confronts Ninokata about his brother's fate, but Kagemitsu explains the bargain he made with the demons to save their land. Hyakimuru appears and is seen by Ninokata and Tahomaru, but Kagemitsu orders him killed. Tahomaru is horrified, but Kagemitsu asks Tahomaru if he would be willing to sacrifice the land to save his brother. The Asakura start to kill the prisoners at the Baman to provoke a war, and the Daigo army charges forward, attracting the fox demon. Lord Kagemitsu arrives with his army and Tahomaru, who has reluctantly accepted his father's decision, and attacks Hyakimuru. Hyakimuru breaks Tahomaru's sword and damages his right eye, then kills the demon, which is sucked into the Baman. Ninokata arrives and begs forgiveness for her complicity in Kagemitsu's bargain. She then stabs herself, and her sacrifice causes her Goddess of Mercy statue to collapse the Baman. Survivors of Skiroku village arrive, and Skiroku is reunited with his mother. The Biwahoshi picks up Ninokata's small, headless wooden statue of the Goddess of Mercy, which sacrificed his own head at Hyakimuru's birth so the child would not lose his head in his father's bargain with the demons, and its gentle green aura fades. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to let us know by leaving a like. Subscribe for more stories and check out other stories here. If you'd like to hear more of my voice varieties, visit Voices of Lady Theta on YouTube.